I remember John had come back to the home place in 4 Mile Canyon there, and apparently this is probably 3 or 4 or 5 years after he'd gotten out of prison, but he walked way up 4 Mile Canyon above the house there to look at some claims that he remembered that he had back then. It seemed like that's when he started coming more and more around and became kind of part of our family. He helped my dad and uncle work cattle, and my dad took him back into the mine, used our horses, and they packed him back in there. And he just was always around, it seemed like for years. My name is Wayne Lackner. I live here in Klondike. Come from a long-time ranching family in the area. You know, Klondike sits down in this valley here, and it's approximately 45 miles west of Safford, or the nearest community of any size, and it's about 130 miles northeast of Tucson. You know, it's flanked by mountain ranges, the Santa Teresa's on the east side and the Guerrero Mountains on the west side. And it's a fairly rugged area. And like I say, most of the people were ranchers and still are, you know, as far as the economy. And but there's a distance between ranchers, but everybody knows everybody, and everybody helps everybody, as they did back, you know, back in the early 1900s. I was a young man when John and Tom got out of prison in the early 60s. I think back at John, and I think there's a person that, you know, spent 42 years in prison, and then if you didn't know the story, you'd never believe it, because he never exhibited any characteristics of a convict. He was very respectful. I mean, he would stand up when women came around, and he tipped his hat. He was honest, and I think all of me and my brothers and my cousins, we all learned something from John on that, on kindness and how to treat people. My dad and Eddie thought they knew these Guerrero Mountains real well. And of course, John had been removed, hadn't been here in 50 years, but he took them off trails that they never knew existed. He never left the area. And he talked about some of the old timers that when he was, you know, here back in the early 1900s. So they learned a lot from him. But yeah, he was a cowboy, and they could around horses and things like that. He knew his way around cattle and horses.
That's great. That's fantastic.
Reopening the mine or reworking the mine was John Powers. That was his purpose in life, because John always talked about, you know, going back in and taking up where he left off, you know, 50 years before.
Did John ever bring up Ola May at all?
No, not that I recall. That he never brought her up.
Okay.
He never talked about Ola May.
No, nothing at all. So,
Nothing.
Okay.
So I guess the takeaway I take from that incident is sometimes bad things happen to good people, and there's just, you know, sometimes that's just the way it is. They had their share of hard luck and tragedies in their life and loss. They were just out here in this harsh, rugged, remote country trying to make a living. And I don't think they were doing anything wrong. I think I know they were honest, law-abiding people.